every deed we do, every mitzvah we perform, every word we say has power, has meaning.
And are we a nation of peace? Why does the whole world speak of us as a nation at war? And so when I blow the shofar, it's with the hope that we find our prayers answered this morning.
We have benefited from apartheid, and we have opposed apartheid. We have contributed to the struggle for democracy, and we have struggled to come to terms with this democracy. We have at times cried for the beloved country, and other times we have cursed it.
The Cape Board came into existence 110 years ago. We facilitate conversations and initiatives to play our part as agents of positive change in South Africa.
It's uncanny how good the comparison is of P.V. Botha and Jacob Zuma. They're two men that find themselves running, in many respects, the same country. We're quite strong proponents of a federal solution for South Africa, which we've always been. The idea that you can rule South Africa from Pretoria, with its diverse communities, its unique social and economic problems, it doesn't work.
Let's try and understand why a community has gone from a group of activists to a group of pacifist observers.
I grew up in Durban during the fall of apartheid and the rise of democratic South Africa. And so I grew up aware of the conflicting realities of being a young Jewish South African, the privilege of coming from a community strengthened economically during the apartheid years, while also feeling uniquely connected to the story of building a new democratic and equal South Africa.
We're all politicians. We've all got that power. This is in our nature of us as a Jewish people, I believe, that we go out there and make things happen. All the more sad why we haven't done that for the rest of our community. Why haven't we done it for South Africa?
In South Africa, where the needs of a white privileged minority is not necessarily at the top of the agenda, amidst so many pressing issues, we need to make our voice and point of view heard through lobbying and relationship building.
Is it enough? Is it enough to stem this rampant anti-Semitism, or is it not time for a change in policy from the board?
I encourage each one of you to heed the call to action, to identify your own place based on your experiences, find your South African actionism, and get to work.
We proudly display the label Jewish in the communities and are often the only visible Jewish presence in the areas that we're in.
For many progressive Jews, the formal community remains a hostile place. Sometimes it's easy to feel that the Board of Deputies doesn't always represent all Jews.
And I entirely endorse what Bjorni said. Unless we enable young people to feel free to join in our conversations, we aren't going to progress very much further, either as a Jewish community or within the wider community.
And I think if everyone in this room got together and shared all their contacts, all their affiliations with each other, can you imagine how powerful we are?
Choose life. Don't choose existence. Don't choose complacency. Don't choose to just live. Participate around you. Be involved in the society in which you're around you. Understand the fact that we are supposedly a light unto the nations, not to ourselves.
For me, the debate today is not whether or not the Jewish community should adopt a more inwardly focused approach, but rather whether it should do it now.
Fears about the young generation, beliefs that the fabric of society is unraveling, are among the most pervasive assumptions of history. And it is this belief that belies so much of the alarmism used to justify an inward-looking perspective on behalf of the South African Jewish community.
Action motivated by empathy is the Jewish way, not sympathy.
Young Jews today are at the forefront of national struggles for social transformation, equality and political plurality.
I accept readily that there's not necessarily one interpretation of Judaism. But it's also, you can't just sort of say it's anything out there. And so I think what's being asked of you is, from whence does this identity emerge, that one can lay claim to the fact that this is Jewish, there's something Jewish here?
I think the central disagreement is that the rabbi believes that he can prescribe the parameters of a Jewish identity.
Identity is one thing, but more fundamentally is, what is your identification as a Jew?
I think we've turned so inward that we can't understand the out.
For our strength and our future as a community lies not in gazing at each other, but in standing together and looking outwards.
It's no accident that there's so few young people here today. We should be worried about that, and we should be asking ourselves, how do we draw them back in?
The borders of the Jewish community do not stop where the Eruv ends. The future of our community is interdependent with the future of all South Africans. Citizen Cohen is also Citizen Kunene.